Obviously, it's great to have you here as a gold medalist at the Games, and I'm sure that the impact that your success has had on many people will become even more to the fore over time. But you're also, you've got a coaching background. You were telling me earlier on that your dad got you into coaching early on, and you've also been studying, and you've got a degree in coaching as well, I believe.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, so talk us through a little bit about your dad and in your early stages. I think you were 14 when you started coaching.
Yeah, well, I was from a community-based club, so it was just about getting the kids off the street and just making it a club and family related. And then I started at 11, and then from there got on the British team. And then my dad said, right, you need to share every moment that you experience with the 4-year-olds. So 4 to 8-year-olds every Friday. Starting off, just had to teach them break falls for about 2 years, and then you teach them the bases of the skills. But that's where, for me, that I learned how to interact. Because kids are crying at nothing. Well, it feels like nothing to an adult, but to a child that you've not got children or anything like that, then you don't know how to interact. You need to show your really soft side, but strict and disciplined. And for me, judo is a martial art, and there's a lot of strictness and etiquette to it, and I really love that. In my coaching, I'm very strict as a coach, but I try to always stick to the rules, stick to the etiquette, and then I question back the children. Why did you do that, or why did you hurt somebody? And through learning at the basic roots was where I started to then get into work with the teenagers, where it's a different kettle of fish again, because teenagers know everything and they're always right. So it's then learning again how to interact with that, but keeping authority, but not being a teacher to them. And then it's working with seniors. Well, I think seniors is easier, but that's only because it's easy just now because the seniors I'm teaching don't answer back and are there for just like recreational and fun.
David, can you talk us through what it's been like for you in terms of the experience you've gained as a player and how you've taken that into your coaching going forward to the level that you're at now?
As a coach, I think I've been in quite a privileged situation that I had opportunity to experience a lot of things that were taking the guys through. But I wasn't in such a privileged situation that I kind of knew what it meant to be the top of the pile. So it was. I mean, I suppose if you use a broad brushstroke, I was a good journeyman as an athlete, and that kind of good journeyman, I think, look underneath every stone. I was motivated, and I really pushed myself to look at everything. And I think that's a good entry point into coaching. I always think that if you've been a really successful athlete, it must be really challenging to turn your hand to coaching. So now that my job kind of offers or sees me, I suppose, shape the development of the performance staff, I always kind of keep that in mind. You know, that you really have to kind of take a look at the profile of an individual and say what experiences they had. You know, and an athlete to coach is not all the same standard experience, because of course their identity is going to be very different at that entry point.
How important do you think the performance coaching experience that you've got is to grassroots coaches?
Well, we've achieved a massive level of success at performance level, and a relative level of success, I suppose, impacting on performance outcomes at kind of grassroots, so increasing participation and so forth. But I really think the next steps are not from improving in isolated areas. It's about making those connections, whether that's from home country programs to GB programs, whether that's from high performance programs to development programs to grassroots programs. I think it's very easy to certainly from where I sit in the landscape to kind of look at it as a hierarchy. I think we've got to work really hard to kind of dismantle that, and I think a lot of the philosophy that's coming out, but everything's interconnected, and I think there's a lot of the future added value is about examining those connections and looking for alignment.
If there's one specific opportunity you could have in terms of a learning or CPD opportunity as a coach to help you on your journey, bear in mind that we're in a room full of coaching development professionals, what would you ask for? What would you like? What would benefit you best in terms of your coaching journey?
I want to pass on all my knowledge and my experience through the good and the bad, and any coach goes through a roller coaster. Me and David have been through a roller coaster, and I think but he's stuck by me, and it's like you're going to have challenges, and sometimes the challenges that you get you maybe think A, B, C and you'll get it completed, but I honestly think that me and David have went round the alphabet twice, and some things were very easy that we fixed, and then some things, but I never gave up with my passion that I had and I wanted, and David never gave up, and we kept on going and going and going. And I think that there must be loads of people out there that maybe want to give up, or maybe have hard things and personal things going on in their lives, and I think I want to pass that on and help them to make sure that you only give up when either the reality is it's time to give up, or it's not just because maybe life is difficult in life and you're giving up, and then you'll come back in years' time and say to yourself, what would have happened if I asked for help, or what would have happened if I had a coach that supported me? And I want to be one of those coaches that pass through all my experiences, but I also want to, I think I'll be able to identify people that I'm pretty good at, like, with issues and helping them achieve that.
Louise, how important do you think it is, from your athlete perspective, how important is it to build that relationship with your coach?
I think it's a key element. When David first got the job, was it about 7 years ago, David? Roughly about that, and then I respected, always been taught in a club, you respect whoever's national coach, and David was, as I was one of those young players at the end of his career, so I knew he was a really hard trainer, he had good results, he was a role model as an athlete. As a coach, I knew nothing about him. He was for Edinburgh and I was for Glasgow, so you can imagine really what I really thought. And then, I'm only kidding. And then I went in, but my relationship with David has grown and it's become very successful. And I do use the word roller coaster because I've had a lot of, coaching, communication, planning, that's all essential, and it is really all important. I think that when you start to get into that line of work and then you've been practicing it, it should become automatic, and I personally believe that. But there's other issues there within people. David had to put out a weekly plan every single week, but I would need to then go, not need to, but we developed, at the time it felt like I needed to, but now we've developed this, that there's individuals within the group that maybe not be able to do that plan for personal reasons, but you're not going to highlight that to everybody because it's, like I said, it's personal and you don't want to discuss it. And I've got a really sick mum, and it's an emotional thing and it's an emotional roller coaster for me. I had to have trust in David to open up and talk about it, and I was going through lots of things, that being in the elite side, trying to perform, trying to make weight, trying to make sure I'm ticking all the boxes, trying to work on a weekly basis, and it was constant stress. Sometimes David would say, right, you're stressing, calm down, and coaches need to be able to identify all of that, and communication and me developing a trust with David out with him when he steps on the mat. When he steps on the mat, he's taking a coaching session. I believe in him. I do. He's got the job. He's the best man. So I believe what he's teaching. I believe in the programmes that he's putting together. But it still doesn't mean when I'm off the mat can I go and really talk to him about, I need to miss this week, I need to miss that, or I've got that. And sometimes David he's quite a reality person, but at the same time, he's a national coach and he's performing, so I'm not going to get results if I'm only doing one session a week, but he also knows I can't do 5 sessions a week, so it's about meeting halfway. And then there's going to be some times that meeting halfway is going to be really difficult. If I don't communicate it, there's this cycle that always happened to me, and then the way I analysed it, and each athlete is going to be different from that, and then eventually we worked out our own setup, like how to work with me, but also I'm part of the team, I'm following the team stuff, I'm not being separated or anything like that, or like special treatment. And it took a lot of work, and it was emotional, and it was hard, and it didn't just happen overnight. And one of the things that happened to me in a coaching point of view is David took a step back and was doing a lot of paperwork, and I had to go to him, and I thought, oh, if I go to David and ask him, I had a fight in my head, like saying I want him on my mat side. And when I asked for it the first time round, David told me the truth. He says, got other coaches there, and they're going to be there on the day of the games, so he's not me, so you need to keep working with them. But what I'll try and do is come on the mat once a month. And I said, okay, I accepted that, and you can't feel that you're going to get favouritism or you're going to get what you want all the time, but the coach explained to you the reasons for it. And then, but I was very lucky that the weeks leading out, he managed to come on and coach a little bit more, didn't you?
Do you think you would say it was fair to say that I had to be good at listening?
Yeah, he did. And then I walked out to the games saying that ongoing joke with the thumbs up. David doesn't have the loudest voice, so I'm projecting on. He's developed this, I think, for me it works. For other players it doesn't work, but when I look round, I want minimum said. Am I right in saying that, David? Yeah. So he would turn round and give me, not just me, but with my working skills with him was the thumbs up and minimum, he does this, minimum words, and and for me it worked effectively, and it made me help. It was part of its tactics as well, and that helped me massively on the games.
David, one last question I think from me. Given your experience of now working in Judo Scotland as a governing body and working across Sports Scotland, what are the key considerations for the people in this room in terms of the support that we need to be giving to emerging coaches, whether it's at development level or performance level?
I appreciate it's an incredibly complex landscape, and it's moving all the time. It must be an absolute nightmare for you guys to do your job, having to work with guys like me and try and get me to articulate what it is that exactly we would like to do. But I think for emerging performance coaches, one of the things I see happening quite a lot is that they don't have that safe environment to I suppose experiment and kind of find their feet and develop their philosophy, where they have the opportunity to really challenge themselves and work with performance athletes, but at the same time not a massive level of responsibility either. I think if we can carve out opportunity, I think we're doing a really good job of that recently with programs like Athlete to Coach and Coaching Futures and so forth. But I think that's quite a key thing for us to do in the future. So we're only 5 million, but we are able to identify talent, and I think we have to, moving forward, do that with coaches as well as we do it with athletes effectively. And so where we do that, look to kind of just balance the right opportunity, challenging opportunities, but safe environments as well.
I'd like to first of all thank David, and to Louise again for giving up your time. It's been a pleasure to sit next to you and chat to you this afternoon. I think if we just show some appreciation for both David and for Louise.